My bad. Peace to the family. I see y'all tapping in. Come on, Bayard. That don't even sound like you. What do you mean? You got to get back. How you got to get back? You got too much reading material. You got too much reading material, bro. What you mean? You got to get back. Y'all supposed to been getting through these books. Y'all supposed to been getting through these books, especially this book. Fellow of the Craft, The Legend of Wusir, the legendary book of all books. This book should levitate. Yo, this book should levitate on your book stand. Like on your book stand, when you put this on your book stand, this book should float a little bit. Like it should be able to levitate. I'm telling you, this book is loaded. It's loaded. Yeah, this book is loaded. I'm in here right now. I'm in it right now thinking about what information is in that book. What? This is the main book of the Comedic Naturopathy course. This is the main. I forget sometimes life be lifing. I forget sometimes life be lifing. Listen, and I'm saying that because Mystique been with me through different YouTube pages and ups and downs, and so she might have missed a little. She might have missed a little bit. Life might have been lifing for her, and she might just be getting back in sync, in tune with the family. So this is the core. This is the bulk of the curriculum for the Comedic Naturopathy course, right? So for some people that might just be tuning in because you might have missed some stuff over the last few weeks, maybe a couple of months or whatever, or somebody might have just sent this video to you in your email. This might just be the first time you're tuning in. Man, how do I sum up the journey? So the journey started with an article, right, about melanin and diabetes. That article got a little crazy, right? We wound up getting invited to New York by the city council, right? Shout out City Councilman Rob Scott, the mayor, and everybody upstate New York. That started to grow, and it just started from there and turned into a whole phenomenon. Was this 2025? So I want to say July 22nd, 2023, we released our first book on Amazon, right? We released our first book on Amazon, and I know the typos is still fast and furious, but man, it was crazy in those first few books. Right? But we like 90 books in on Amazon since July 22nd. It's an easy day to remember because the Bible starts with that same math, and we start with that same math. See, we on a certain frequency, right? 22 letters, 7 days. 22 over 7. That is the Kemetic approximation of the number pi, right? With the geometry, the pyramids, and all that stuff was centered around. The Bible starts that way. 22 letters, which is the spoken language of the created universe, according to the Bible, 22 over 7 approximation of pi. That's the first day that we released the book on Amazon, July 22nd, 2023. And we've been rolling with the just moving into more in-depth specificity, going deeper and deeper into the information. We got really deep. We got really deep in the science and the math and the history and the breadcrumbs in the Bible. Of course, that leads us back to Kemet. So we had a bunch of conversations about that. And that bring us around to beginning to restructure our own language called Hem Necha, right? Close to the Metal Necha, but not the Metal Necha, right? But predicated around what we originally started with, which is the melanin versus diabetes movement and the message and the ministry, right? And for me, that began with, a different perspective on the legend of Usia or Osiris, right? And so going back and forth in the Patreon with certain people. So sometimes I get wrapped up with one or two people in the Patreon, right? But somebody suggested that we just have a whole entire course, or it started just the idea was a book dedicated to Kemetic naturopathy because it didn't exist. So for the people they may hear the term naturopathy and not know what it is. You have different types of doctors out there. You have a medical doctor, surgical doctor, and then you have a naturopathic doctor or a doctor of naturopathy, right? Doctors are defined by what it is that their tool is, what their tool bag looks like. So doctors whose tool bag is medicine, MD, right? Doctors whose tool bags is a knife and scissors, surgeon. Doctors whose tool bag is plants or water or light or something from nature, the natures, right? That is naturopathy, right? And naturopathy, obviously the word nature is the root of the term, but that is a derivative in and of itself of the word nature, right? So naturopathy is naturopathy. It is a one of the main reasons that the world speaks of Kemet so often, because all of the intellectual property that's still being stolen, borrowed, and remixed to this very day, you know, it makes trillions and trillions of dollars, and everybody gets a piece of this money, except for the people who might, because everybody's not, but except for the people who might be heirs to some of this intellectual property, right? So this book wound up being the master book. There are two other books that go with this book, right? So there's the Rough Ashlar. Then there is, that's book number 1. Then book number 2 is Trigonometry, the Sacred Science of the Jews. And then you have the main book, which is The Legend of Usia, Kemetic Naturopathy. And then you have about 10 smaller workbooks to help digest the information from the larger books, right? To help highlight and add detail and color to the larger 3 books, right? So hopefully that was like a, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully that was like a little quick little decent little synopsis. That was like a little decent little synopsis. Yeah, that was like a little decent little synopsis. But I'm gonna be honest, there's so much craziness in this book. There's so much heat. I really feel like we won't ever get to fully go through everything, right? But in this book, we talked about Amun, the god, the nature Amun, being blue, right? On the cover of workbook 5, you have Nun, also blue, right? And of course, you know, our special formula, the blue magic, right? And of course, you know, Swaj Mamatomics, right? Swaj Mamatomics. Swaj is a Kemetic term, right? So we've been in this vein since the very beginning, right? This is, so whenever you heard a doctor, it started with Swaj, right? That was the first term, Swaj Mamatomics, the first product, first term, that was my first, you know, dipping my toe in the water. But Today, though, we have a question, right? I got a question. As serious as cancer, who can keep the average dent? No, serious. Listen, today we have a question, right? Today we have a question. Today we have a question. Shout out to Paul in the building. Paul, we sent you an extra bottle of Kimmy. Paul got a bottle of Kimmy. His capsules was busted up. I don't know if that was the cold weather or what. So we sent you a new one. You know, I'm shipping. I know I owe everybody some packages. Packages and shipping. I was on one leg and it was icy. I couldn't go nowhere, right? But stuff is shipping. But I got a question, right? And we got to deal with this. We're gonna let this bubble, right? We're gonna let this bubble a little bit. I got a question, and I want y'all to answer this question, right? Because I got the question, and when I got the question, I said, you know what? Book. I get a good question. It's going to turn into a book. I said, book. This need to be a book. This need to be a book. Because this right here is one of them grand opening, grand closing. Like, I just got excited with the question. I was like, how do you even answer this question? Like, how do you even approach this question to get a decent answer? Like, what do you... So I know y'all at home, in the car, at work, wherever you at, in the supermarket, you're like, what's the question? You see the title of the video, right? The Aleph question, ask everybody, right? What is the question to ask everybody? The question to ask everybody, and it could just be me. Listen, hold on, before we get to it. Because sometimes y'all be trying to judge me. Listen, don't judge me, okay? Don't judge me. I'm just struggling to raise my children, keep the lights on, you know, try to do the research, you know, hopefully you guys satisfied so you can hit the Cash App, send me a few dollars so I could, you know, keep my lights on, keep the heat on. Hey, you know how many years we've been here doing this? It's crazy, right? Consistency, right? Consistency, right? But the question is just a profound question for me. So if you're into the information, right? If you're into the information, you know, you studying, you eating with us, you studying with us, you praying with us, you know, this is a very interesting question. And you can rephrase the question however you want to rephrase the question, right? So you don't have to, because you may want to ask this question to people, right? There's Israelites, there's Christians, you know, there are spin-off folks, the Muslims, right? So you may want to ask people this question, you know. There are people that are quote unquote not, you know, they're not really religious at all, right? But they do get into language and linguistics, and they like to tap into, you know, the Arabic and the Hebrew, and, you know, particularly the Hebrew, right? So it's an important question, right? It's an important question. We got to really look into this. I want y'all to think about this. My name is Minister Inky. I am the naturopathic doctor and the spokesman for the Melanin Verse Diabetes Ministry. Every time you go to the supermarket without the electrician grocery shopping list, it's like putting a loaded gun to your head. Stop playing Russian roulette with your life. Help us make America great again. Learn how to save time. Learn how to save money with the electrician grocery shopping list on Amazon now. Go to Amazon now. The life you save may be your own.
We give thanks and praise to the Most High God for the divine spark that set our cells Inky prayer number 2. We give thanks and praise to the Most High God for the divine spark that set our cells into perpetual motion. We give thanks for the magnetism of the Most Holy, the magnetism that repels and attracts the ferry boats of light 60,000 miles every 60 seconds throughout our vessels and caves. We give thanks for the ability to drink clean water every 60 minutes, flooding the river of life. We give thanks that sugar has not covered our ferries and turned them into stone. We give thanks that darkness has not covered the riverbanks with calcium and turned them into stone. We give thanks that anger and fear have not turned our almonds bitter, turning our heart to stone. We give thanks for smooth sailing upstream through the valley of death, through the superior vena cava into the right atrium. We give thanks for smooth sailing around the heart through the corona crown, joining the vortex in the right atrium. We give thanks for the perfect black solar repeater that induces the primary electromagnetic wave, opening the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodeshim. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodeshim closes. We give thanks to the ray wave, reflecting on the semi-lunar valves, opening a pathway to the vineyard. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the lunar gate to the vineyard closes. We give thanks to the Most High God that provides the light and our breath, and the light in our breath. We give thanks for the fine olfactory system that makes our grapes ripe with light. We give thanks for the Jed pillar that provides us with a stable fleet of ferry boats to dock in our vineyard. We give thanks for smooth sailing through the pulmonary vein into the storm of the left atrium. We give thanks for the perfect black solar repeater that induces the primary electromagnetic wave, opening the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodeshim. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the mouth of the Kodesh HaKodeshim closes. We give thanks to the ray wave, reflecting on the semi-lunar valves, opening a pathway into the holy royal arch of the Wa scepter. We give thanks for the mechanical wave produced when the lunar gate into the holy royal arch of the Wa scepter closes. We give thanks for the magnetism of the Most Holy the magnetism that repels and attracts the ferry boats of light, 60,000 miles every 60 seconds, throughout our vessels and our caves. Amen.
Okay. So this is the question. This is the question. Hebrew. Hebrew is the question. And I know some people don't really get it. They don't get religious conversation, political conversation, math, geometry. They don't see how all of these things relates to health or relates to naturopathy, right? And that is not a question. That's not a problem in as much as with me as it is with our education system. If you don't understand the throughway, the connections between religious culture and health, politics and health, right? Because religious culture is going to dictate how people socialize for the most part, and what people eat, what people wear. That's your mental and your physical health right there. That's your metabolism, your digestive system, your cardiovascular system. Politics, man. You ever hear somebody say money's not everything, but it ranks right up there with air? You could almost sub out money and throw politics right in there. Because I used to have conversations with folks about certain things with food and this and that. And over the years, you know, we have helped change the culture. We've helped change a lot of places where there was food deserts. They started to put in different types of supermarkets. And then we ran it up so crazy that a lot of the meat and the dairy companies started to buy into vegan companies and juice companies and all of that kind of stuff. So eventually what happens, when the stuff first hits the market, everything's expensive, but as competition comes, the beauty of capitalism, it drives the price down. And as it drives the price down of all these vegan items and juices and, you know, snack bars and all this, now it starts to be in every supermarket. So now you have all these healthy items in every supermarket. And supermarkets are grimy. Supermarkets are gangsters. Supermarkets is mafia-run businesses, in case you don't know. Y'all think the mafia died. No. The mafia just moved into business. So trust me when I tell you the supermarkets is mafia, right? It's old school street ideology running the supermarket. And what are you talking about, Doc? I mean, if you put a product in the supermarket and it sells good in the supermarket, after about 6 to 12 months, say for instance, you have, let me look in the chat, grab somebody's name so you can be my example. All right, we got King Lemuel Productions. King Lemuel Productions is going to put out alternative bread. King Lemuel Productions went into the bread business and put out some healthy bread that's amazingly high in fiber and protein and all this and all that, right? No bromine, this is a super amazing bread and it's low priced and just everybody's loving this bread. That bread is only going to be on the shelf for 6 to 12 months before something happens, right? You're going to go to the supermarket one day, right? You're going to go to your Kroger, right? Some of y'all got Krogers. We got Krogers. You're going to go to your Kroger, and right next to the King Lemuel Productions bread, you're going to see the Kroger version of the same bread. You're going to be like, wait a minute, what is this right here? You're going to check your spots, see how your product moving. You know what I'm saying? Because your sales going to go down, and you're going to be wondering how my sales go down. Everybody love the bread. How my bread sales go down? Oh, Kroger done decided they're going to take your formula and put your same program right there. Boop, Kroger. Now your bread selling for $2.50. Kroger done duplicated your formula. Yeah, because when you did the deal with Kroger to put your bread inside their supermarket, oh yeah, the first purchases of your bread never went to the shelf. The first purchases of your bread went to their laboratory so they could figure out what's in your bread and remake it. So they was in there remaking and remixing your, yeah, so they about to put their version of your bread right next to that. So now they got the Kroger version of King Simon Lemuel Productions bread, and they're going to call it, like 365 or Kroger Unlimited, something like that. Yeah, and they're going to sell theirs for 25 cents lower than yours. That's pure gangster, high level. So this is also politics, right? Because the cost of ingredients, farming, agriculture, you have multiple levels where the government is involved, where politics is involved, right? What foods, what fruits, what vegetables, what grains is the government subsidizing the cost, right? What stuff is the government telling the farmers, look, don't worry about it. Even if the crops go bad, we're going to bless you with X amount of dollars. So you keep that coming because we need that, right? That plays a key role into what people are eating. What your children get for breakfast in school, what they get for lunch in school, what items fast food restaurants, because they put a lot of the food out. So what items fast food restaurants offer has a lot to do with government subsidies, right? So there's a time period where everybody's eating pork, right? There's a time period where nobody's eating pork. Shout out Elijah Muhammad. Then, we go through the crack epidemic. I don't know what happened. Somehow, late 80s, early 90s, pork is the other white meat. Pork is doing this thing again. So we go through our little recovery, our rehab, we go through our rehab mentally and we get back, shout out to Sabi, we Dr. Africa, we get our vibe back. We're like, oh, pork, we doing pork? How are we going to get off cigarettes and Pepsi? We on pork? No, we got to, okay. So what happens is you don't realize it, but when you decide to stop eating a thing, that affects the value of the markets associated with that thing. Because all these things have to do with stocks, bonds, and money markets, right? So now pork bellies and all this stuff, the value drops. So what happens is the billionaires associated with these things, they sit down, or they may just, send the lobbyists, and they come up with ideas on how to get the numbers right. And so you don't if you're not paying attention to any of this stuff, you don't really know any of this stuff is going on. But what happens is you'll be watching the game one day, like the Lakers and the Timberwolves. The Lakers and the Timberwolves? I think the Lakers and the Timberwolves. Anyway, you'll be watching the game, or you might be watching Judge somebody, Judge Judy, Judge Mathis, Judge, you might be watching Judge somebody, or whatever you're watching. Right now, you might be watching YouTube. The commercials on YouTube is horrendous, right? We went to YouTube to avoid the commercials from TV. And now YouTube does pimp does anyway. So now you watching whatever you watching, then all of a sudden you see a commercial come on for your local fast food spot, right? It might be Domino's, it might be Checkers, it might be whatever, and they're offering you, 2-for-1 or 2 for $12.99 large deep dish pizzas with triple bacon something, right? Or they all of a sudden out of nowhere, the burger spots are competing with bacon wrapped Angus something or other, and you don't even notice that there's this full court press coming for bacon products because they gotta drive the market for this pork stuff. So you might see on every channel, bacon flavored ranch dressing, bacon flavored French dressing, bacon flavored bread, bacon flavored blueberry muffins, bacon, all over the place. You don't realize it's because it started up top, government push, and then ciphered its way down to the masses, right? So why that's important is because capitalism doesn't really have a face the way you think. This is why the meat and the dairy people, when they seen the rush to the healthy products, the rush to the vegan products, they just start buying up vegan and healthy, they start buying up companies because they just trying to get the money. So the same way our yay or nay can control bacon prices or whatever. I'm just using that for example. It can be the same with sweet potatoes or greens, arugula or whatever, right? It can be the same with whatever, right? And then when you get known, right? When you get known for something, that becomes your culture, right? I want you to pay attention to that. That becomes your culture, right? So now Black folks in America, we're known for what? Fried chicken, macaroni and cheese. Fried chicken, macaroni and cheese. Well, guess what? We're also known for high blood pressure and diabetes. You see how that just happened? Fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease. You see how that go like that? Give you another example on the flip side, right? Mediterranean diet, olives and fresh fish. Oh, this is healthy for your skin and your brain development and blah, blah, blah. So now, culture, right? Culture, if you notice, when we were keeping track of blue cities, which are these places where people are living to be 100, right off that Mediterranean water, you have one of the highest populations of people living to be 100, right? Culture, right? So it's not random and disconnected. It's not random and disconnected. One of the problems is we watch a lot of these videos and we're not assimilating this information into our life where it could be culture. One of the things that I want to do is get back on the road. Right? One of the things I want to do is get back on the road because we had a vibe. You know, I didn't really have a lot of time at home though. You know what I'm saying? So, but you know, now my life situation is set up different. You know, so I want to get back out on the road. Maybe not 4 or 5 cities a month, but it was power being able to go, you know, city to city. We eat together, get a little workout in together, like culture. You know what I'm saying? So I could check up on y'all and see what y'all really doing offline. You know what I'm saying? Like when the computer's not on, what are you actually doing with this information? Right? And are you in turn turning around and creating study groups? Are you teaching this information, sending people to Amazon so they can get the books? It's not enough for you to get the books. You got to have the library at your house so you can be teaching folks. Yeah. Then you get your little circle and send them, have them build up their libraries, and then we cook it, like pun intended. Right? So anyway, all I said to say, all of these conversations are related. All of these conversations are related. Right? So anyway, the question, Hebrew. This is an important question. This is an important question because what? We know that there's no such thing as Israel. Right? We know there's really no such thing as ancient Egypt. Right? We know those is fake. There's no ancient Egyptians. We know that's fake. We know there's no tribes of Israel. That's fake. If you watching them Captain Tazariak, if you watching them Captain Tazariak videos, listen, that's time that you could have been really reading and studying. Okay, stop watching them bogus videos. There's no such thing as the 12 tribes, so you can't. Listen to what I'm saying. You're getting suckered in. You're getting suckered into stupid conversations. And our brains are hardwired for this. So there's nothing wrong with you. I get this. This is how TV works. Netflix is making trillions of dollars off of this. This is why, look, let me explain this to you. Because I know this happened to you before. Yeah, you. I know this happened to you before. Watch this. You start watching a series, right? And the first season be epic. Like you be glued into the first season. And then the second season come and it's horrible. You like, what's missing from this? What happened? Like and you can't even really figure it out. You're like, yo, everything is the same pretty much. It's except maybe somebody probably got killed in the season ending show. You know what I'm saying? But what happened to the magic is gone. It's the storyline. It's the storyline. In the first episode, they're going to create a problem. Your frontal lobe and your third ventricle are attacked, right, with this problem. So now you done bought into seeing this problem through. Whatever this problem is, whatever the show is about, whatever piqued your attention, whether somebody stole some files or, who's the daddy or whatever the show is about, you done bought into this problem and you glued to each episode because you're watching the evolution, of the information. Every show, you get a little bit more information so you can put your mind at ease. Like, oh my God. Ooh. And so they give you a little bit of info, then they hit you with the cliffhanger so you come back next week and watch. So by the time they come with the season ending show and somebody get killed and they recovered the whatever and everything is, It's like you done had great, relations with some, you done. So now that problem is finished, the next season is like, you almost don't even have a purpose to watch the show no more because they done took care of it. It's like, you're getting suckered in. Now, if you're doing it strictly for entertainment value, that's cool. But if you're getting into these conversations and you believe like, oh, they're going to debate over the 12 tribes chart, which one is the real version and blah, blah, blah. You can't debate over which one is the real version because the people are imaginary. Do you understand? They never existed. They never existed. Not 12 tribes of them, not 5 tribes, not 2. It's a make-believe story to hide an actual history. It's a make-believe story to hide an actual history. Right? And so one of the things we've been doing is exposing the make-believe and pulling out the real history, because a large reason why people are disconnected from their health, from their body, is because they don't know their culture, right? Especially Black folks, right? We on fried chicken and macaroni and cheese, respectfully. And you could lie and say you don't like it, but that'd be a lie. Because the first thing you probably did when you switched over to vegan was got vegan chicken and vegan mac and cheese. You was getting days, come on. Listen, we got to relax. It just is what it is, right? So a lot of our health issues are tied to this synthetic culture that we have, right? A lot of our economic problems, a lot of our children in school problems, educating our children, these problems are related to cultural issues, right? They're related to cultural issues. So we got a book coming out. I thought the book would have been out yesterday. It's so good. It'll be out tonight or tomorrow, right? The Comedic Origin of Chemistry. The comedic origin of chemistry, right? And so, obviously, we're just elaborating on conversation from the main course material, right? We're elaborating because in the Legend of Wuxia book, we started talking about how they started hybridizing food in Kemet to be used as medicine. Right? They were making or changing the properties of certain fruits and vegetables to make them more medicinal, right? We talked about the beers and the breads and the different things, how they really took the idea of food as medicine to its highest level that it's ever been. But just that, the concept of chemistry, right? The concept of chemistry. And the crazy thing is, they're teaching a lot of this information in universities and colleges. But we're not in these classes. We're not in universities and colleges. Respectfully. We're not in there academically. 2025, I know people going to attack and be like, hold up, who you talking to? Because you don't got a college degree, Inky, but I got my little bachelor's, I got my master's, I got a PA, I need you to relax. Our people collectively are not in college academically. And what do I mean by that? I mean, first of all, the numbers of who's populating the colleges. We're not dominating. And somebody will say, oh, well, we only make up, X amount of percentage of the country. Guess what? We're operating way below that number in terms of universities. Way below that number. So it's not about, oh, we only 13 or 14% of the country, because we're not 13 or 14% of these major universities. We're not. It's way lower than that. That's number one. Number two, the number gets even smaller if we start to pulling out the people in the kids in there for playing sports. If we start to pull out our black athletes out of these universities, the number gets even smaller. So make sure you hear what I'm saying. We're not in these schools academically, right? And that's a big problem if we're going to turn this thing around and tackle these issues for real, because one of the main parts to every conversation when you talk about health is education. And for me, I think it's a game changer. I think it's a game changer if we realize it's ours. I grew up hearing the same thing most of y'all grew up hearing. Oh, the white man didn't make up this and that and blah, blah, blah. The black man made it. That really is not progressive. I mean, back in the 20s, that might have been fly. And I don't mean the 20s like 2020s. I mean the 1920s. Maybe back at turn of the century, because you still got you still got grown folks running around talking about they're following the teachings of Noble Drew Ali. Noble Drew Ali was literally 120 years ago. I need y'all to relax. I need y'all to relax. If Noble Drew Ali was alive today, Noble Drew Ali would not be following the teachings of Noble Drew Ali from 1900. Same thing with Dr. Sebi. I'm like, y'all know Dr. Sebi had the Ogun Research Institute? That meant it was ongoing research. Yeah, Dr. Sebi in 2025 would not have been promoting the same exact thing he was promoting 50 years ago. We get lazy because we haven't really built up and been inspired by our intellectual prowess yet. And I blame this kind of on the ladies, respectfully. Y'all haven't started giving away that sunshine enough, based on intelligence. You know what I'm saying? Respectfully. You know what I'm saying? I know we got a lot of sapiosexuals that watch this channel, but I'm just saying, in general, the big chain, the flashy car is going to beat the guy with the bag from Barnes & Nobles. 3 guys lined up. One guy has a bag of books. One guy has on nice jewelry. One guy has a really nice car. Respectfully, the guy with the bag of books is not winning that battle. Not most times, right? We got to change that dynamic, ladies. Just saying, y'all got power. Y'all want to talk about y'all in power, and this is the thing. Y'all got to use y'all power like superheroes. Y'all going to be superheroes or supervillains? Right? Look, don't judge me. I'm just saying. There's a certain power that women have over the male species attention span. Right? And so we got to get to this intellect thing. We got to get in that bag. And I think that learning the origin stories to some of this stuff really helps. It does. Because it changes the perspective on what it is you're learning, why it is that you're learning it. Right? If you go back, here's one of the reasons why the Rothschilds story is so important. The Rothschild story is so important, not because they're Jewish, The Rothschild story is not important because they're Jewish. That's the cover story. That's because you listening to Jordan Maxwell and David Icke and all these other goofballs. The Rothschild story is important because they were dirt poor. That's the importance of the Rothschild story. They was dirt poor. Dirt poor. No culture, no religion, no nothing. And they made certain cultural adaptations that then changed their personal situation and then changed the collective situation. They made certain mental adaptations cultural, right? This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to live. That's how we're going to give it up. You know, this is how we're going to move. And, you know, whoever's with us is with us. Whoever's not, they the option. This is how we move. And they collectively began to grow through those adaptations and made those things cultural and religious attachments. So this is the law. If you with us, this is how you have to live. And so people from the outside looking in started to see the benefit of the lifestyle and was like, well, what is it that they're doing? I'm interested in that because I want to live like that. I want to have those type of results or whatever. Right? So that's the importance of that. Right? That's what the whole purpose of learning this information is for. Right? So you can reclaim your power. Right? And it starts with your health. Right? It starts with your health. You need to be able to reclaim that power. Right? You know, you're running around, your kids looking crazy. It's not the school fault. It's not the government fault. You looking crazy. Right? So we got to get this information so we can reclaim this power. Right? So anyway, all that whole long story. Y'all know I'm good for a long story. Yeah. Yeah. Just feel free when you get a little bored that just snap out of it and say, man, let me just. I think Inky talking too much because he need us to send him a few dollars on the cash. Just go ahead and hit the Cash App. Right? It's right. It's right. Is it right there or is it right there? I don't know where it is. I'm gonna start doing this. Hit the Cash App right. And one of these corners here is the right. But it's important that we get to this. So once we realize, right, there's no archaeological proof of any Hebrew Israelites ever existed, right? The question then becomes, who exactly created Hebrew? This is the question. Who created Hebrew? Who created the Hebrew language? Everything depends on this. Everything depends on this. Remember, the Quran is retelling Bible stories. It just is what it is. Mixed with some folk stories from Syria. Yeah. Written in a dialect of hieratic script. Arabic is a hieratic script knockoff. Like, look. So, if there's no such thing as Hebrew Israelites, who created Hebrew? Who created Hebrew? Where did Hebrew come from? Because we start having these conversations, and see, this is how it popped up. I'm like, yo, look, we could look at the language, we could line up, we could take the modern Hebrew back to the pictures, and you could sit that right next to the hieroglyphs, and you go, oh yeah, this came right from. But see, the problem comes in with the ambiguity. you need specificity. You can't make things culturally work. You can't really incorporate stuff into your understanding, like into your blood. You need specificity. You need hardcore details, because when you go on YouTube, you're going to see 1,000 different rabbis, and they're going to be breaking it down. Then you're going to have the Hebrew Israelites, the brothers. They're going to be breaking it down. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all been watching Myron Gold. You've been watching Myron Gold and whatever he over there breaking down Hebrew. Me, I'm just looking at it. Yo, this is crazy. When I'm watching it, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. What are these people talking about? Now, mind you, I'm a big fan of Hebrew. I love languages. I love the art of communication. And Hebrew is, by any metric, top 3 all languages. Period. My top three fluctuates. I don't really got a top 3. I got a top 4. You know that when you ask somebody who's the GOAT, MJ or LeBron, and they start telling you something about Kareem and Wilt and all that, you're getting ready to get into a political answer. I got political answers. I got French. I like Chinese. Of course, I like the Kemetic language. Me and Hebrew, we like day one. We like day one. Like, started from the bottom, now we here. Me and, you know what I mean? But I know the story of this. So I could really appreciate this from a lot of different levels. Right? If you just get caught watching the video and you don't understand, like, for instance, here's something beautiful. Here's something beautiful. Right? Something beautiful. Watch this. Chemical language, Hebrew. Chemical language, Hebrew. Now, there's literally 100 different 1,000 maybe, different YouTube videos where you got quote unquote Hebrew or Bible scholars, and they tell you, oh, well, especially the rabbis be feeling themselves. They would go, oh, well, the only thing close to the Hebrew language is the chemical language, because the chemical language just tells you exactly what it is. And, you put it together, and this is how you get the chemical signature of, here's H2O, 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen makes water. It's just like the Hebrew. Look at this. 2 mems and 1 yod makes water. See, the Hebrew is just like the chemical. And people get mystified, and they're telling the truth. Hold on, let me not take away. This is why I love it. They're telling the truth. It's beautiful because of this. Right? It's beautiful because of this. But the problem is they don't know what they're talking about. Like, wait, hold up, Doc. How you said they telling the truth and then say they don't know what they're talking about? Context. How could the Hebrew be just like the chemical language if the Hebrew came before the chemical language? You see just how quick that goes. We snap the Thanos fingers. The chemical language is just like the Hebrew language. Now the problem is you got a whole bunch of Germans and Europeans taking credit for this chemical language, and you got the same group, even though they present themselves as different groups, right? Because Over here, you got the atheists. Over here, you have the Germans and the Europeans that are, Jews, Jewish scholars, or. So they present themselves as different groups, but these are still the Southern Italy, Germany, You don't get the real story. You don't get the real story. You don't realize that the reason why this language is just like this language is because they have the same origin. They have the very same origin. That's why this language is like this language. But we can't even get into that story, right? We can't get into that story because we ain't got into this question yet. Right? This right here is the question. Hebrew. Because you got to ask yourself, who created this language? Who created this language? Start asking these people, jump in their comment section, jump in their chat room. When they start talking all that Hebrew, ask them who made Hebrew? Who made that up? Who made up the Hebrew language? That's all you got to do. And stay on them. Stay on them. You got to stay on these folks. Because if you don't stay on them, they're going to be able to, you know what I'm saying? They're going to hit you with that. You see, it's like when the Mavericks played the Lakers the other night, right? Jason Kidd, he had a great strategy. Listen, he was coaching Luka, so he know Luka's strengths, his weaknesses. So what did they do? They watched what the Lakers did to the Nuggets, and we just triple team Joker, right? And we wind up blowing them out. Like, listen, we're going to triple team your best guy, and we're going to shut y'all down that way. We're going to we're going to force your Jamal Murray. Yeah, we're going to force these other guys to beat us. But Joker, you're not getting nothing. We shutting you down. It's over. So Jason Kidd, and I don't know how Jason Kidd made this mistake. Jason Kidd lost that game for the Dallas Mavericks. Kyrie Irving did his best. Jason Kidd got outcoached by J.J. Redick, and partially he just imploded on himself. I'm going to tell you how. Jason Kidd only has the job at Dallas because he won a championship with the Lakers. Y'all forgot Jason Kidd was part of the championship with the Lakers. Yeah. I'm saying that to say, how could Jason Kidd be part of the Lakers organization, get the championship, and then forget about LeBron? How you forgot about LeBron? He structured his whole defense to collapse on Luka. Structured. Every time Luka get the ball, double teaming, triple teaming. Bro, you forgot? It's another guy on the Lakers. You forgot it's another guy on the Lakers. So you double, triple a team. You Luka. LeBron is getting the most wide open shots he ever got in his whole career. Like he's literally standing without nobody next to him in 20 feet. So LeBron scores 16, 17, 18 points in the fourth quarter. Some old crazy number. Some old crazy fourth quarter crazy number. Wins the game. Yeah. See? You gotta understand how this whole so we gotta go back to this question. Who created Hebrew? Because if you let him, same like Jason Kidd, he triple teamed Luka, but what they didn't do, they didn't prepare for Luka to pass the rock. So if you let these guys, they'll pass the rock on you, and you'd be confused like, oh, wait a minute. No. They got proof. The archaeological proof says that the earliest Hebrew was the proto Hebrew at the Sinai, the proto-Sinaitic. yo, I ain't even gonna say his name. Y'all better stop watching Billy Crystal. Listen, they're gonna tell you about the Sinai, oh yeah, over at the Sinai, in the Sinai Peninsula, that's where they found the earliest. I see again, it's true, but it's not in context. It's true, but it's not in context. Because if you look, what I be telling y'all, scratch a lie, find a thief. And see, this is what we go through in this new book, right? Because we start the conversation. We start the conversation here in the Legend of Usyr book, right? And then we tap in, we start really getting in the workbooks. In the workbooks, we start going heavy, right? We start talking about the wave and the particle, right? We start talking about emergent properties, right? Emergent properties, right? We talk about the difference between the brain or the physical processing of information versus the mind's analytical capability. Like we go through a lot of different things, but man, this is a serious question. This is a serious question because we got to get into that. Wait a minute. The structure of our chemical language does match the structure of the Hebrew. That's crazy. Well, who came up with that? Who came up with that? And what was they doing? What was they doing? So now, when you go back, when you leave this video, right? When you leave this video, make sure you go to Amazon, put them books in your cart. If you ain't got the books, you got to go put these books in your cart. But when you leave this video, right, I want you to be armed with some truth, or not even gun them down. Just drop the nuke on them. Just drop the nuke on them. Go. Where did they find the Hebrew at? No. We know about the Bible. We got it. We got the whole story. The 70, the 72. They got 12 priests from each tribe. Wait a minute. How is there priests in each tribe when there's only one tribe? The Levites was. It's so many different things. You scratch a lot. Listen. They put the 72 elders or the 70 elders, they wrote the Bible at knife point. Ooh, okay. But the Bible comes way after the Hebrews discovered. The Hebrews discovered in the Sinai Peninsula. Yeah, it's discovered at the Sinai, Now go look it up. You know what you're gonna find out? You know what you're gonna find out when you go look it up? In the Sinai Peninsula, you're gonna find out it's a mining site. It's a mining site. So they go, oh yeah, they must have been over there doing construction. Nope. There was no construction going on. It was a mining site. What do you do at a mining site? Right? Literally, in the word mining, the root, right, of mining is min. Right? Min is the root of the word minerals. This is a solar god. All of our minerals come to this planet, everything, all of the resources from, okay. The mining site, they were there mining for minerals. They were there mining for minerals. Right at the mining site, they had a laboratory. The laboratory is called the laboratory is called Hathor's Temple. Let's rewind that back again. I'm gonna rewind this back for you again. Rewind this back for you again. Hebrews discovered in the Sinai Peninsula, over there where Israel's supposed to be at. But technically, there's no real such as place as Israel. Israel was invented in 1948. There's no ancient Israel. That's not a real thing, right? Thanks to Hatshepsut and Thutmose III, all of that land was Kemet. This is another thing. Like, we might have to pull out some maps so you can understand. All of this was Kemet. Sudan, Nubia, all these countries and all these places was Kemet. It wasn't nothing else popping. Heads was getting cut off, all that. The boats was on the water. The Navy was, that was, nothing else was popping. That was all Kemet. The land and sea, all that, like when you hear the Marine song, that's Kemet. Moors don't know nothing about no Navy until way after Kemet. There's nothing else going on but Kemet. Hebrew is discovered in the Sinai Peninsula, and they stopped the story right there. They stopped the story right there. So you never make the connection about the mining site being a part of Hathor's temple. And Hathor's temple being a science lab. See, listen, you got to understand this. Listen, it's too much information. That's why I'm saying this is how 3 books turns into workbooks, and then I got to keep going into, like, because it's about unpacking. That's the whole idea of the Rothschilds creating a science called biosemiotics, so we could learn how to unpack scientifically all the information that's stuffed into the metal nature. So let's unpack some of this information. Listen, you're not supposed to ever find out that Hathor's temple is a science lab. You're not supposed to find this out. See, that's why we got the astronomy book. See, we had to do the astronomy book first. See, all this is in order. I'm trying to give you this information as best as I can in order that you're supposed to have it in. Because it starts with the stars. The stars gives you order, sequence, math. It tells you how things come together to create life. So you study that blueprint, you know what you're supposed to be doing down here. The minerals that they're mining for all come from the stars, right? So so when you go in the temple of Hathor's temple and you see the astronomy stuff, That's because all of the other stuff been looted. They done already got the beakers. They got the beakers already, the vessels. They got the. Well, how you know about this, Doc? Get the book. In the book, we got the document. You can, because they found other temples that didn't have the stuff looted with the same blueprint. It's a blueprint. Get it? Blueprint. Blue magic. The gods was blue. Amun, Noon. And the gods that wasn't blue had blue hair. Get it? Tupac. Time to separate the pros from the cons. Blah, 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 blah. Listen. Now you know why the Hebrew language is just like the chemical language. Because the chemical language is based off the Hebrew language, because the Hebrew language was discovered at a laboratory and a mining site. So what was they doing there? What was they doing there? Chemistry. Listen, you're not supposed to find out all this. Because see, then it starts to make too much sense. Go, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, the Sinai complex. Oh man, but what about the other posts? What about the other posts where they found some of the ancient Hebrew, they found some of that paleo. That was a Kemetic military outpost. So you only have three places. You only have three places where quote unquote ancient Hebrew is found. Hathor's temple in the Sinai, a Kemetic military outpost, and then the Elephantine Island. And if you don't know what Elephantine Island is, the Elephantine Island is in the middle of the Nile, and it wasn't called the Elephantine Isle. It was called the Island of Canoe. Yeah. So yeah. Time to separate the pros from the cons. So now again, let's go from the top. Who made the Hebrew? We still don't have a name. We getting there though. We done narrowed it down now. We done narrowed it down now. We done gave you. Now you got some hardcore specifics. Now you got some incontrovertibles. See, this is why you got that mushroom cloud on the video thumbnail. Because that's like that. You just there's nothing they can do with this. Yeah, it's nothing they can do with this. Listen, it's nothing they can do with this. You know where the Dead Sea Scrolls was found at, right? Hold on. You know where the Dead Sea Scrolls was found at, right? You know the Dead Sea Scrolls. You know the Dead Sea Scrolls is. It was in Kemet. No, the Dead Sea Scrolls. Yo, listen. This is mushroom clap. This is a nuke. This is a nuclear warhead. Not only is there no proof, archaeological writing of any biblical characters as documented in the Bible. The only proof of Hebrew is Kemet. Now, we can take it deeper, right? I know. I need to end the video. I need to just end the video. Just hit the Cash App, go to Amazon, get you some books. I need to end the video. But I think we need to add another piece to this puzzle before we get out of here. Right? I gotta give the haters at least something. Because all that's too concrete. They can't even debate none of this. Only thing they could do is run from. That's what I'm saying. It's just new. But I'll give you something that you could fight back on. Fight back. You gotta fight Inky back. Fight back with this. The person who created this, right? What they were doing was taking the 900 glyphs, the 870, 880 glyphs, 900 glyphs of the language of the Medu Neter, which is for the stones, right? And then they took the hieratic. Now, the thing with the hieratic was simplified, but you had versions. You had different versions of the hieratic, right? And you also had a new nation. You had a new nation. New nation needs a new language. A new nation needs a new language. A new nation needs a new language. So who in the history of Egypt created a new nation? Akhenaten, the father of monotheism itself. The father of monotheism himself. In fact, Akhenaten was so crazy with it. That he put a signature into the Hebrew language. Akhenaten left a signature Aten. He put the Aten into the Hebrew language. How did they do that, Doc? Well, they used the hieratic. They used the hieratic. They took the A, the N, and the T from the hieratic and gave you the Aleph. This is an A, a T, and an N from the hieratic. Aten, very first letter of the Hebrew language.